started my YouTube career. Got my obligatory influencer desk with an assortment of video game objects. Check. Lighting, not the best setup, but I get the job done for now. Check. Alright. Something to hold my camera with. Not exactly the ideal setup, seems legit enough. Check. And finally my script. Let's see. Do I really need a script? I mean, how bad could it be, right? Never mind. Alright. Let's get this thing started. Recently today I was reading an article from Business Insider that kind of went over this idea that Sony is losing touch with its player base. And the last time a company did that, in this case Microsoft, back in 2013 when they announced the Xbox One, it totally shifted the industry landscape in video games. Going back to my original point, Business Insider in this article was stating that Sony is starting to exhibit the same type of disconnect with consumers. And one particular issue they brought up was the campaign they had against crossplay, particularly with Fortnite. It took a lot of players griping and constantly bringing that up, as well as the media bringing it up, for Sony to finally bend and allow Fortnite in September. I don't think that's quite the same kind of issue as used games, but nonetheless, it could be an indication. They also brought up the fact that there's a lot of change in management in Sony, which, again, when you change management, you get someone in there that may not have the same understanding of consumers if they're used to managing another department. And that's what they later brought up, was the fact that already with the new managers they're bringing in for Sony, they're mentioning that, and I forget the man's name, that they want to change PlayStation Network and bundle it with their other streaming services and basically have a focus on entertainment, which again has the potential to alienate gamers. I think Business Insider is right to think that. I don't know. I think it's very early to tell. Is Sony gonna maintain its place as the market leader, or is it gonna lose gamers? I mean, it's hard to tell. It's a little early. I think they have a lot of momentum. There is that potential that they'll get arrogant. It's happened. Gaming's been around long enough that you can start to see the cyclical pattern in its history and kind of make predictions that are, potentially very accurate. I remember when the PlayStation 3 was on the cusp of its launch, and that whole E3 was just really strange. And the marketing and the description of the plan going forward with PlayStation 3 was very strange. There was a huge disconnect. I remember there was just a weird conference. That was that very infamous one that had, the crabs, and, there's this giant crab coming out of the ocean. And then the design of the PlayStation 3 was really weird. And then the whole proprietary cell architecture that, third parties just were not happy about it. I think it's too early to tell, and I'm not certain that what I'm hearing from Microsoft is very promising either. I'm hearing different tiers of hardware. I'm hearing about focusing more on streaming and digital distribution and things like that. I don't know. I feel like there's a potential that something very disruptive could occur. And that's just discounting VR. I mean, a lot of people think VR isn't going anywhere, but it's slowly growing, and I think it's moving to a standalone platform. So that has the potential. I mean, I noticed that the PlayStation 4 has sold millions of PSVRs, and Over this holiday, the Rift sold on Amazon. So if VR goes as a platform only and it's standalone and it's completely seamless and you don't have all the barriers to entry like having to own an expensive gaming PC, we might see a standalone VR console become the most popular, and because gamers become alienated with what Sony and Microsoft are doing. And we can't count out Nintendo either. They're doing really well with the Nintendo Switch, and their mobile hardware, I mean, it can be easily updated with a successor. So again, the video game industry is going to be very disruptive going forward, and it'll be very interesting. But let me know, do you think Sony will remain the market leader? Do you think Microsoft might take it from them? Do you think Nintendo might take it from them? Do you think VR might finally go mainstream, might finally become a platform of its own and not purely depend on the PC or depend on a console? Let me know. If only I had figured this out sooner. That would have certainly made my video much more stable. B's trying to use Photoshop to try to auto-align the layers. I hate stutter. Oh well, it'll be a lot smoother going forward.